Hey there, my road warriors and demolition daredevils. Today we're diving headfirst into the chaotic world of Twisted Metal, the car combat game that crashed onto the scene and left an indelible mark on gaming history. Imagine a demolition derby with rockets and machine guns, a game so intense that even your car insurance would run screaming for the hills. And stick around because later we'll uncover a shocking secret about the game's most infamous character that even the most hardcore fans might not know. But first, let's drive back to the early 90s. When the gaming world was about to get a jolt of adrenaline thanks to a visionary developer at Single Track, a studio that made its name with a game that was as much about vehicular combat as it was about pure chaos. Enter Twisted Metal, conceptualized not just as a game but as a battleground on wheels, released in 1995 during the golden age of the PlayStation. The birth of Twisted Metal was anything but ordinary. It was the brainchild of David Jaffe, who would later be known for the God of War series. Jaffe, fascinated by the raw competitiveness of car combat, envisioned a game that combined the thrill of driving with the intensity of a fighting game. The idea? Cars equipped with lethal weapons battling it out in a destructible urban environment. But how did this chaotic concept become a reality? It was a combination of innovative thinking and a little bit of madness. Development began with a tight budget and an even tighter deadline. The team at Single Track had to innovate to bring their explosive vision to life. They utilized the PlayStation's capabilities to create detailed 3D environments, a novel concept at the time that allowed players to experience a new level of interaction with the game's world. Each level was designed to be a closed arena, adding a gladiatorial feel to the game. The development wasn't without its hitches. The game's ambitious design pushed the PlayStation's hardware to its limits, leading to frequent crashes and bugs that needed fixing up until the last minute. Controversy also brewed around the game's violent content, with critics questioning the morality of such a ruthless vehicular combat game. Yet these controversies only fueled public interest, cementing Twisted Metal's place as a topic of conversation in the gaming community. The developers themselves, particularly Jaffe, became somewhat a cult figure in the industry. Their commitment to creating a game that was both fun and technically challenging set a new standard for what was possible on emerging console hardware. But Twisted Metal wouldn't be what it is without its colorful cast of characters and their equally wild backstories. The game features a roster of twisted individuals, each with their own unique vehicles and disturbing motivations. At the heart of the chaos is Calypso, the mysterious and sinister organizer of the Twisted Metal contest. With his gravelly voice and ominous presence, he promises the winner anything their heart desires, for a price, of course. Let's talk about some of the most iconic characters. Sweet Tooth, the homicidal clown with a flaming head, drives an ice cream truck that's anything but sweet. This character became the unofficial mascot of the series, embodying its dark and twisted humor. His backstory? Niels Kane, his alter ego, is a maniacal killer who enters the contest to rid himself of the curse of his fiery noggin. Then there's Axel, the man who literally became one of his vehicles. Strapped between two giant wheels, Axel enters the contest seeking revenge for the death of his wife. His story is a tragic one, highlighting the game's knack for combining dark narratives with outlandish character designs. And who could forget Mr. Grimm, the Grim Reaper on a motorcycle, fighting not just for victory but for the release of his soul. His deathly appearance and sinister motivations add a macabre edge to the game's roster. The storyline of Twisted Metal is as anarchic as its gameplay. Set in a dystopian Los Angeles, the game unfolds through a series of vehicle combat tournaments, each character striving to win their heart's desire. The story isn't just a backdrop, it's a driving force that adds depth to the mayhem. Each character's ending is a twisted take on the old adage, be careful what you wish for, with Calypso often granting their wishes in the most ironic and gruesome ways. The character design and story were instrumental in making Twisted Metal more than just a game about cars blowing each other up. They gave players a reason to care, to pick favorites, and to dive deeper into the darkly humorous and twisted world that Single Track had created. This blend of engaging characters and a compelling story set Twisted Metal apart from other games of the era, ensuring its place in gaming history. But it's the mechanics of Twisted Metal that are where the game truly shines. Imagine combining the fast-paced thrills of a racing game with a strategic, explosive combat shooter. Players choose one of the many outlandish vehicles, each equipped with an arsenal of weapons ranging from homing missiles to napalm. The objective? Obliterate your opponents in a variety of urban areas until you're the last car standing. One of the most remarkable features was the game's control system. Designed to be both innovative and responsive, each vehicle handled differently, offering a unique blend of speed, armory, and weaponry. This required players not only master their chosen car's quirks, but also develop strategies to exploit their opponent's weaknesses. The game introduced several unique mechanics that set it apart from other titles. For example, players could pick up weapon power-ups scattered across the map, adding a scavenger hunt element to the combat. The levels themselves were filled with destructible environments. Ram through a building, blow up a gas station, or launch off a ramp to rain destruction from above. Each area was meticulously designed to encourage both strategic planning and chaotic brawls. Mid-match, you might find yourself cornered in an alley, firing off your last few rounds of machine gun ammo, desperately hunting for that health pickup. Or perhaps you're the one setting the trap, lying in wait with a well-timed remote bomb. It's this dynamic and unpredictable gameplay that kept players coming back for more. Hey, speaking of coming back for more, why not slam that like button and subscribe? You wouldn't want to miss out on any more mind-blowing gaming history, right? Plus, it might just save you from a sweet tooth ambush. Just saying. Back to the game mechanics, one of the most praised aspects was the multiplayer mode. Twisted Metal allowed for split-screen battles, letting friends duke it out in real time. This feature was a massive hit, turning living rooms into war zones and making the game a staple at gaming parties. The camaraderie and rivalry fostered by these intense matches helped solidify Twisted Metal as a beloved title among gamers. So much so that when the game launched in 1995, it quickly gained traction among gamers. The game sold approximately 1 million copies worldwide, an impressive feat for a new IP at the time. The success wasn't just about the numbers. It was, in a way, Twisted Metal carved out a new genre and influenced the cultural landscape of gaming. Critics praised its innovative gameplay, with some pointing out that it brought a fresh, explosive twist to the racing genre. GamePro lauded its ferocious fun factor, while Electric Gaming Monthly highlighted its addictive multiplayer mode. However, not everyone was enamored. Some critics pointed out issues with the game's graphics and occasional glitches, which were hard to overlook even with the PlayStation's limitations. But these critics were often overshadowed by the sheer enjoyment and replayability that the game offered. Twisted Metal spawned a franchise that would go on to include several sequels and spin-offs, each trying to outdo the last in terms of chaos and carnage. The game's blend of vehicular combat and dark humor influenced numerous titles that followed, from Vigilante 8 to Carmageddon. It also cemented David Jaffe's reputation as a visionary in game design, setting the stage for his future successes. Moreover, Twisted Metal left its mark upon the pop culture. The character Sweet Tooth, with his flaming head and twisted grin, became an iconic figure, appearing in various forms of media from comics to fan art. The game's influence extended beyond just its direct sequels. Its DNA can be seen in modern titles that blend high-octane action with over-the-top characters and settings. But despite its dark themes and violent gameplay, Twisted Metal tapped into something primal and thrilling, creating a community of fans who appreciated its bold, unfiltered approach to gaming. This following kept the franchise alive for years, with fans eagerly awaiting each new installment and even creating their own fan content to celebrate the game's legacy. Now, as we delve into the hidden gems of Twisted Metal, prepare to have your mind blown by some of the craziest secrets and behind-the-scenes stories that help shape this iconic game. First up, did you know that Sweet Tooth wasn't always the flaming-headed psycho we know and love? Early designs for Needles Kane showed him as much more of a generic clown. It was David Jaffe who pushed for a more menacing look. ultimately giving us the iconic image of a clown with a flaming head, which became a symbol for the entire franchise. And a little known fact is that this all stemmed from his love of flaming hot Cheetos. Now let's talk about some in-game secrets. In the first Twisted Metal, there's a hidden level called the Rooftop Combat level. It's accessible by entering a cheat code on the character selection screen. This level wasn't initially intended for a release. It was an internal test arena for the developers to experiment with different mechanics. However, they decided to leave it in as a treat for players who managed to discover it. One of the coolest bits of trivia involves the game's voice acting. Calypso's voice, that creepy, gravelly tone that haunts your dreams, was performed by none other than Mel McCurran. A relatively unknown actor at the time, his performance was so chilling that it set the standard for characters in all subsequent games. And here's the kicker, he recorded his lines in one single afternoon. Another little known fact is about the game's soundtrack. While it features some original compositions, the developers initially wanted to license popular rock tracks from bands like Metallica and Nirvana. Unfortunately, the budget constraints put the kibosh on that idea. Instead, they crafted an original score that perfectly matched the game's chaotic vibe, providing that sometimes constraints can lead to creative breakthroughs. Finally, here's a fact that'll blow your mind. The original Twisted Metal was almost a completely different game. Early in development, it was pitched as a racing game with combat elements rather than full-blown vehicular combat game. It was only after some intense brainstorming sessions and a few rounds of coffee-fueled debates that the team decided to lean fully into the combat aspect, creating the game we know and love today. And there you have it, folks, the wild, twisted ride that is Twisted Metal. From its chaotic origins and demented characters to the explosive gameplay and cultural impact, it's a game that left an indelible mark on gaming history. Now, if you'll excuse me, I need to go find my flamethrower and a sturdy ice cream truck. It's time to relive some vehicular mayhem. See you in the next Demolition Derby. If you enjoyed this ride back through the history of Twisted Metal, click this video here to see more from the Retro Reload. And as always, thank you for watching.